Hello, hello, and welcome to this edition of the Law Firm Blueprint. I'm one of your hosts, Jay Ruane, and with me, as always, is my man, Seth Price. Seth, how's your week going this week?
It's going well. We're going well. A lot of good stuff. A lot of stuff changing the marketing world, and I got some stuff insights on law firm intake that just disturbing when you start to drill down onto what you take for granted, and thankfully not an issue right now for us, but has been over the years.
Yeah, that's certainly something that we should be talking about. But first, I want to talk about something because I haven't really had your ear about this. But as someone who's seeing digital marketing, how are the LLMs? How are the updates by Google, etc., impacting search so that if I'm out there, like if I'm out there today and I'm starting out, is my focus, should it be, I know you're going to say it depends, but is my focus getting reviews? Is my focus getting, establishing myself as the go-to person in the LLMs? And what are the LLMs using for resources? I know Wikipedia, I know Reddit, I know those types of things. Like, should I be having people post questions that I answer on Reddit or Quora? Should I be? I don't know. Like, is
Yeah,
it
look,
is
I'm
it a
not going
local play? Is it an LLM play? Is it traditional? Hey, put your blogs out there. Should the blogs now be frequently asked questions? Because that seems to be what LLMs like. Like, we're in an upheaval time. I would think it would say, but tell me what your thoughts are.
So what I got for you is it's not even it depends. I would say that right now, what we're seeing from AI search, especially Gemini, right, is that we are seeing that questions that used to get you web traffic are not. So people's web traffic has dropped. That's across the board. We've all seen it. Add to that currently some of the spam updates that have been rolling out, which have happened historically, which hit a lot of legacy players, where content that was good enough is not anymore.
Right.
So another hit to content. So right now, across the board, local search has been that sort of juggernaut that delivers viable, monetizable traffic, right? The reviews are there, the SEO puts you in there. That combination of optimizing local, optimizing SEO has won. It is harder, in my opinion, to do just SEO without the local right now. I'm seeing that if you're not doing the 1-2, whereas before it was like if you had Connecticut DUI lawyer as an SEO result, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Less powerful than it was, offices more so. So local preeminent. So yes, SEO, content and links. Yes, reviews for sure. Ignore reviews. I see able-bodied lawyers not getting reviews, and we can talk about it. I mean, this could be an entire special on reviews, which is if you ignore it, it's at your own peril. And if you don't find a way in a system, take Dan Martell, there's not a system, it's not going to happen. It's not about the anecdotal one great review you got. How do they keep coming in like clockwork? And if they don't, you're gonna have problems long term with that.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question then. As a digital marketer in 2025, approaching 2026, I want a real answer from you. I'm putting you on the spot. What do you value more, links or reviews?
Both. And I genuinely say that. No. And I say that. No, let me explain why. So, meaning if you just had reviews, it likely is not going to have the same impact as the authority plus the reviews. So, meaning if you have like for right now, if you took a month off and didn't build a link for Jay Ruane and just got reviews, probably would make you more money. But if you never built links for Jay Ruane, those reviews won't have as much. There are people I know in Chicago with like 1,500 reviews and they don't show in the 3-pack, right? Because they haven't paid the dues on one side, or Google doesn't like them for whatever, for reasons that are maybe technical. So you have to have that first piece where you're not disliked, and then the review piece is very valuable. So like, it's like saying, which kid do you love more?
I can tell you.
Depends on the day, right?
Depends on the day. I have 4 kids. I have 3 amazing kids and 1 jerk, and the jerk changes every day.
Right. And there are days when he's the highest high and the lowest lows, right?
Right.
So there are days when he's life of the party, and there are days when you're like, oh my God.
And
So
sometimes my daughter's the jerk, and that jerk rolls around among
right.
all four of them.
So look, what I would say is the advantage that you have, we always talk about when you start out, you have more time than money, go get the freaking reviews. Yes, you need them, but if you just got reviews and nothing else, it's likely not going to have the same impact as if you do the 1-2 combination.
Gotcha.
Um, but and then you have the shiny object. So again, we should do an entire episode just on reviews. It's that important. So I don't want to minimize it. It is that important. But I will take you to the next piece, which is okay, LLMs. It's awesome. Everybody's getting, Reddit. Awesome. I'm telling my team, I don't want you going and spamming Reddit. I want you to learn it. I want you to participate. I think we've had one post that answered an actual legal question. I need us to be there because clearly the LLMs are building from there. But
Right.
to me, all of that, whether it's Reddit, Wikipedia has always been great, SEO, anything you're doing, right? But to chase the AI algorithm at this point, given the traffic that's there, I'm skeptical at the moment. It's sort of like, there were days when Uber
Yeah, but
was,
it said at one point you chased Hotbot and Lycos, and I know I did. I mean, I know back in the early days, I would have a binder for Yahoo, a binder for Hotbot, a binder for Lycos, a binder for Google at one point.
I was all in on Google. Pretty early, but in Yahoo a little bit. But I was doing the work for Google, assuming that it would the best practice would carry over.
Right.
And so look, there was a point when they got on everybody's computer. My parents still have the Bing search, right?
Mhm.
It is there. Like right now, if you were following the AI algorithm, you might put effort into Avo. And I'm like,
Right.
right? And we
I
both
haven't
cut
gone on
that off a
Evo in
long
years
time.
since we discovered that they were gaming the system.
Right.
And telling me that people were calling me that clearly weren't calling me, and I had the documentary call tracking to prove it.
Right. And so
So,
all
folks,
those
for those who haven't been a long time listener, here's why I gave up on Avo. I'm going to put it right out there.
you were a thought leader in this.
So what I did is Avo gave you a number, and they said, we sent you 37 calls this month. And I said, boy, that doesn't seem right. So I went out, I got a call tracking number specifically for Avo. I had them feed their tracking number into my tracking number, and I would match up the stats. And I would say, okay, you're saying I got all these calls. Those calls never came in on my call tracking number.
Right.
So, and it was the only number that we had associated with Avo. So they were blatantly lying to me for months. And after 3 months, I just said, I'm not getting calls from Avo. I don't know where they're sending these calls. They're claiming they connected, and I would call that number and it wouldn't necessarily connect to my office.
Yeah, great. That's inside baseball. You did something even more brilliant. You cut it off for a month and you didn't lose any traffic.
Didn't lose
that
any
was
traffic.
a telltale. That was a brilliant move.
Yeah. I wish now I could take all those reviews that I had garnered over all the years on Avo and dump them onto Google because I've got 150. But now Avo's showing up as a source for LLM data, and
for now,
and they're indexing those. I guess you call it an index. They're indexing those reviews, and sometimes if you ask me in some of the LLM products, the AI products, they will spit back words that were in an Avo review. So do I maybe send 5 reviews there and keep them, recent? Because they're saying, oh, they haven't had reviews in 5 years, but that's just because that source hasn't had reviews in 5 years. It's a lot of work to make these decisions.
Right. And I think that's why I come back to, if you're, the people who want to be ahead of the curve, God bless. I love being ahead of the curve. But if it's making you freaking money, do the basics of SEO, get the authority up, put the reviews, work on your Google, your local. That's what's making money today. When you look at you're already checking these boxes, right? You've always been ahead of the curve. You're in all these different places. Are you seeing meaningful cases coming in from non-Google at this point? Are you seeing ChatGPT actually sending you cases?
We're at 10% a week of
10% of your cases.
10% of my cases that sign with a source of ChatGPT.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
I don't think,
and I really didn't believe it when I started seeing these. Now back in May, it was none, but now, in since this month, 10% of our retained clients
And how are you
mentioned
tracking
AI
it?
or ChatGPT. We're asking them directly. Which AI platform did you use? Just like which search engine did you use? What did you type in? Those types of things. And maybe it's 9%. Maybe we haven't hit the 10% threshold. I'll look when we get off of this,
That is
and I'll
awesome.
check.
I have you are ahead of the curve as always. I have not seen that across the board.
Well, you also have to realize too that I live in a county where it's a wealthy county. You know what I mean? Like it's the demographics of my client base. And think about it. For me as a criminal defense lawyer, people would go to Google because they didn't want to ask their friends. Now they're going to an LLM product, they're going to AI, and they're getting resources and questions to ask me. My intake team tells me that they are getting more and more people asking questions in intake like never before. And they're clearly getting served up questions from AI products because
That's
this,
awesome.
is, this isn't something that a friend would tell them to ask.
No, that's look, and that it is coming. That's the most I've seen, and so look, it will. But given that it is still 90% until that
Right.
changes, we got like it's interesting. And if you happen to be in a perfect storm of an area where people with money, right? So again, you have an affluent population that's doing this. The average PI lawyer is likely not going to have that. The average immigration lawyer is not going to have that.
For sure.
So
And don't forget, I got a Wikipedia bio 5 weeks ago, and it's stuck. And maybe this is an aberration month. You know what I
right,
mean? Like maybe since
right.
it's fresh in the LLM's index, they're serving it up, and next month I'm going to get zero.
And look, I just got yelled at for saying this. I get skeptical when I get data that, set like meaning when stuff, there have been times where I see data and then you slice it and you're like, yeah, it wasn't really that. We
Yeah,
were asking the question in a way that got us a false
yeah.
answer.
Correlation isn't causation.
Right. If somebody's trying to say, did you check ChatGPT? And somebody wants to sound, you know what I mean? Like there are, but either way, it is something we certainly have our eye on. Would love to have those extra cases, but to me, the money is in those 90% of cases.
Sure.
Understanding that we want to be protected for the future, and that's why I'm telling people, get out there, get familiar with Reddit, because that seems to be the hottest place that they're grabbing stuff from.
Yeah, I wonder if in the future, back when there were link farms, back in the Philippines, I wonder if there's going to be communities that are pumping questions for lawyers to answer on those platforms
I,
so that
I
they do
still
get
remember
indexed.
people were doing that, feeding Avo and
Yeah,
Justia. Justia was needed content. They were encouraging you to put questions there,
yeah.
and so that this world of Q&A.
Well, and that leads me to this next statement. Clearly, if Avo's claim to fame early on was I have a question and a lawyer's going to post a response, and multiple lawyers would post a response, and also Quora and Reddit are now being indexed by the LLMs, right? Because people want to engage. Shouldn't you be spending a lot more time on your site creating these frequently asked questions down to hey, what about this courthouse and these prosecutors? Because that's the kind of shit that the LLMs want to
They
soak
do,
up.
but the question is, where is the monetizable traffic?
Well,
Right?
maybe like
Meaning,
anything else, it's like building brand. You want to spend 10% of your spend on brand.
uh,
You maybe spend 10% of your time and effort on what's going to prove to get you cases 5 years from now. Like I'm
right,
planting
right.
trees
It's
now.
R&D, and it's
Yeah,
more than R&D if it's making you money. So I applaud that. Look, I got some flack from one of our listeners talking about frequent flyer miles, which is a whole nother discussion. Amex just
yeah,
rolled
that
out a
new
piece,
fee
and
and
I'm going to give one tip to people here, being if you spend money on Dell computers, if that's one of your things, we do, um, and that's a thing, and you spend $5,000 or more on Dell computers, essentially the Amex Business Platinum is free, and all the benefits basically are comped because there's $1,000 credit when you spend five. So there's a few things like Indeed,
yep.
there are coupons, but the Dell thing is a real, if that's part of your business model, that you're buying 3, 4 computers a year, this will pay for the entire card. I say that because when I've been trying to go down the deep dive of what Chase did, what Chase Sapphire Reserve did with theirs, and Amex, a lot of, and that the Q&A on those about how to book hotels and where to do things, that these boards have become huge. And that's my point. Like, it's huge and people are going there and they extract it. But is that where you trust? Like, these people, on where to stay in a hotel, yeah, I'll go for that. But do I trust that crowdsourced on where to go for a lawyer? I think that there's still a jump. But you know what? There's going to be some percentage of the population that is there.
Right.
In your world, it's sort of interesting because most people aren't bragging about where they got their DUI lawyer.
Right. It's not a deal. They're not saying I score, for only 1,000 points, I scored the penthouse suite on a Tuesday
It's a brag.
In Toledo. Like that, that's what people are posting in those forums, and then they're saying how they got it. I get it.
Right. And so, but that said, and I think that's what comes down to, it's sort of like, the traffic being siphoned off originally was all informational. The question is, how far does it go down into the buying cycle, which is Jay Ruane is the Grandmaster Criminal Lawyer of Connecticut. That is awesome. And somebody may do their due diligence there, just like you check references. We've been Googling people for a long time, checking them on Facebook. The next thing is there's going to be a bio as to, literally you can create a bio in moments on just about any employee you're thinking about getting.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's interesting. This past summer, I published a book that we've been working on for like 7 years, the Connecticut Criminal Trial Handbook. It's up on Amazon now, and it's amazing how that has already been picked up by the LLMs, and that's really helped me establish some authority with the LLMs. That I published this book that's available, and it covers tons of issues. So it's a lot of work to do what we do, in addition to actually having to serve the clientele. And that's the thing. But I want to talk to you a little bit about getting the clientele and talking to intake, because I've been doing the thing with my mastermind people in the criminal mastermind, and it's shocking to me how many people really have no system or plan in place for intake.
Speaking of that, I got Logan spoke at Fisher's masterclass the other day. Logan's my intake person, and crushed it. It was one of the. I mean, she never presented before.
Okay.
But she took, the story goes, we took pre-COVID 12 people in my basement, started with 6, 7,
I remember the basement.
Right. And we lost that model, right? We had to pivot. We people stopped going to law school, and the numbers they were, which is part of the reason we can't hire. I have a great candidate, 9 years of public service. He has to decide if he's going to take my job for a few shekels more than his current job with plenty of upside, and give up $150,000 of debt forgiveness. I'm like, if I'm him, I'm not sure I'm doing this.
I wouldn't do that. If he's at 9 years, I absolutely would not do that. Grind it for a year, and I bet you, if he's a hustler, you'll have a spot for him in a year.
Agreed. I need somebody now. But yes, he's pushing it. So I'm like, anyway, I digress as per usual. So okay, Logan took in-house. We lost. COVID came. We are now fast forward 4 years. We are now all virtual. The only in-office person is one junior manager, great guy. Everybody else is virtual, staggered from overseas to domestic, with people that are not closing for basic criminal, bringing it into the closers, and those in PI that are closing, contingency that can close on the phone. It is amazing what she's put together, but it's systems, it's process, it's recorded calls, it's coaching, it's all those things. So I literally think, I feel like I have a PhD right now on this, a future product perhaps. It is so amazing the moment we're at, right? Right now we are in a great, great place, doing great things. Still haven't figured out, going back and forth between the non-attorney salesperson, attorney salesperson, on the fee for service. That's another topic for another day. But what I would say is, I take a lot of calls, both friends of the show as well as BluShark clients. I am still effing amazed how able-bodied lawyers who are doing decent revenue, right, are sitting here where I get answers like, we have a receptionist who runs around the office to find a lawyer to speak to them.
Yeah.
I have people that are telling me that at 5 o'clock they turn it over to voicemail and don't think twice, and they're doing and they're doing LSAs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and the good news is if they're making money, imagine what they'll be making.
If they did it the
You know,
right way.
and
So the
look,
best thing I ever did was start staffing an intake on the weekends.
no,
As a criminal
right now
defense firm,
nights we're and
we're opening up six figures Saturdays and Sundays.
well
I mean, it
that's how
makes
I
my
built.
week really amazing to come in on Monday morning and see the numbers and be like, well, shit, we made payroll and a lot more. And all those lawyers that my lawyers see around the courthouse are saying to my lawyers, man, every time I call somebody back, they're like, we're all set. We're all set. I'm like, yeah, because we're snapping them up. You
That's
know?
how I started the business. It was me and a cell phone. I still have a vivid memory of getting dressed for like a gala in my closet on the phone talking to a client. Like there's a lot, if you're listening to this, there is a lot of money to be made on the weekends.
Yeah.
And even if people do staff it, the odds of them staffing it well are not that great.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, intake is a challenge. How do you guys train your intake people? Because we just launched since we're in the Google ecosystem, we tapped into Google Classroom, and between Google Classroom and HeyGen and my existing training materials, we came up with 20 modules for testing. I actually, folks, it's blatant self-promotion here. I got a new book called From Call to Client. It's about selling in a criminal defense firm. Maybe I should send it to your team so that they can. It's all about non-attorney sales and the system to walk people through. So if you're on Amazon, be sure to pick it up. It's $25.
I expect my autographed copy, but
Five-star review.
To get your credit, I will buy the Kindle.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got to read it then too. You got to make sure that you actually read it.
I got a person for that. My head of intake will do that.
I'm going to, so folks, now today I'm going to go in. I'm going to set the Kindle price at like $1,000 so I can take some money out of Seth's pocket. But seriously, I mean, how does Price Benowitz train new intake people? Is it like they go from, do they have a series of classes they take?
The whole firm, I'll credit Mike Morris for kicking my ass on this. We have a learning module, like a university. We have 2 in-house trainers domestically, and we take it very, very seriously. It went from a luxury to a necessity.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if you're not at, I don't want to say a higher level, but if you're not there yet, start documenting this stuff now. Start making videos that you can make. I mean, look, I'll tell you, my 20 modules, I used to be the face of them. We cleaned them up. I ran them through a $29 a month HeyGen subscription. And now I have an AI avatar who's basically reading the scripts that we've created. And so now it's not me. And here's the best part about it, Seth. We have some people that are native Spanish speakers because we do have a decent Spanish population. With one click of a button, my intake training, bilingual, one click of the button. And now my trainer, Ray, that's what we use because Ruane attorneys, RA, Ray is now speaking in Spanish to train the new people that are on board in their native language.
Right. And what I love about it, and I'll tell you, this was the biggest hurdle I had when we were coming up, is that when you're young and you're growing, what you want people to do keeps evolving. First, you learn what to do. And second, you're now 2 people and 3 people and they're different roles. And so if we wasted so much time recording trainuals, and there's now, we're on Confluence, so we're just switching to something that integrates with Confluence, the whole story, but for another day. But what I would say is the HeyGen concept I love because you're taking straight text. And when you want to make a change, you don't have to redo the video.
No, you just change the text and hit boom, and it gives you a new one.
Exactly. So to me, that is what is so incredible. I think the bigger issue, and this is where, look, in the PI space, you got Gary Falkowitz, and I love his stuff, and it's awesome. Outside of that world, it doesn't all translate perfectly outside of PI. And so you're a lot of times on your own. There's not, maybe that's a future business for us, Jay, but there is not currently a training academy that I love. And that
I'll tell you right now, I'm in the process of trying to put something like that together for my mastermind people,
Right.
so that when they onboard somebody, they can say, hey, take these classes, and I'm just going to give them to my mastermind people, and I'm
Right.
set up an LMS. They can log in as part of my membership benefit, and it'll be 20 things about ethics and confidentiality and the concepts of attention to detail, and as well as my selling my build connect
Well,
sale
we got a
method.
bunch of
So
stuff. This may be a good joint venture here because I got a bunch of stuff coming down. And to me, it's also two steps, right? And let's be clear on the fee for service, there's the initial talk, which is very, very important. And there's the close, which is paramount. And so figuring those two pieces out. And again, as we both know, everybody says, but my place is different. You're going to hear that over and over again, right? But if we can't get some basic fundamentals, because right now with nothing, I mean, the other argument I come into, and this is on the PI side, is insisting that it get to a lawyer. I'm like, by the time you've hit an answering service, your receptionist call that gets to you. I mean, it's nonsense.
yeah, no. And I mean, look, we've got a multi 7-figure business, and nobody talks to a lawyer here in a fee for service thing until you've paid us. That's just that's just the way. That's the model that works for me. And we're still growing. We're going to grow 12% this year, which is interesting that we're growing even though Google search seems to be down.
I don't know
But
that
some of the
Google
local
search is
stuff we're doing,
down. I mean, the Google traffic is down.
right?
The local is not. And that's where we're making our money.
Yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
so let's plan two things for the future. One, let's do a 360 on reviews. We were overdue for that.
okay.
And secondly,
Is there anybody you like for speakers on the topic of reviews that we can tap and bring in?
I mean, I think I have the information to present. There's not a person that is, and it's not like there's a magic answer.
Right.
That's the point, right? So, but the next question is, we did our summer series on coaching a couple of ways back. And I feel like the world has evolved and there are a lot of different niches with CMOs, fractional CFOs, and things along those lines that have really evolved in recent times. And I feel like we should revisit that world because to me, and I got to give him credit. I think that, Arjon Robbins was ahead of his time on the fractionalization of that stuff. Now, I'm not sure that the people that he had going in that 0 to 1 million were taking advantage of it the way they needed to. But whether you're at 1 million, 3 million, 10 million, I feel that there is a demand for that and that we should come back to some of those fundamentals of what widgets may solve the problems that you have.
Yeah, I love it. All right, folks. So take a look at it. We're going to have some stuff on reviews coming up in a show. We got a whole bunch of things. What we need to do is actually go back and listen to these conversations and identify all the things you said. Well, for a future show, I think maybe we can.
No, we're going to get reviews, and if there's some speakers on it, great. But to me, it's the idea. It's painting the picture because I don't care what you do as long as it works. It's not like this is the gold standard of how to do it. There is a certain piece like following up, texting, but there's so many different angles to it. And what I know for certain is what worked a quarter ago may not work again. It gets stale. And just like in marketing, I say how much money, you always look at money as a percentage. What have you budgeted to get reviews? It's so important. And I think I'll conclude with this, which is my new philosophy is that every review is worth $1,000 to your bottom line revenue. $1,000. If you got, God forbid, 100 reviews, I guarantee you would see $100,000 more in revenue. And if your team got you 1,000 reviews, whether it's on one profile or across profiles, I have no doubt that 1,000 reviews would equate to $1 million in revenue.
Wow. Well, there you go, folks. That's going to do it. I mean, that's laying down the gauntlet there. So if you have a comment about reviews, or if you are a listener and you want to talk about reviews, please comment on our videos, like and share. Make sure you leave us a review. Reach out to Seth or myself so that we can get you on the show. If you're doing something innovative, please reach out to us. We want to know. We want to feature you, and we want to talk about it. Or if you know someone who's doing something innovative, please let us know, because by this, a rising tide lifts all boats. So that's going to do it this week for us here on the Law Firm Blueprint. Of course, you can catch us anywhere you want to go by subscribing to the podcast, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review and actually give us a review on whatever platform you listen to. And then, of course, if you want to catch us live, you can catch us live on LinkedIn, live in our Facebook group, the Law Firm Blueprint, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, every Thursday afternoon. That's going to do it for me. I'm Jay Ruane. He is Seth Price. We're the Law Firm Blueprint. Bye for now.